The story begins with an orphan boy named Lin, who dreams of becoming a cultivator as he celebrates his 18th birthday. An old man suddenly knocks at his door, and the lights in his room go out. He looks around with his spiritual eyes, but he still can't make sense of what's happening. The old man bursts through the door, calling out his name, and they both disappear. They are transported to the boundary between the mortal and spiritual world, where the man asks him to accept the system as he suddenly summons a red ball of energy. Lin demands an explanation, so the old man tells him it's just like the stories where the protagonist is given a cheat skill. He directs the energy into Lin's body, fusing it with him, and it initializes the war god system. A scroll suddenly opens up in front of him, and the man explains it's a recommendation letter, which will help him get into the Jushao Magic Academy, the top academy in the spiritual world. The old man thinks he will need some time to think about it, but Lin instantly accepts, saying he doesn't have anything tying him down in the mortal world. He wonders why he was chosen, but the man just flies off while laughing, glad that he got rid of his unlucky item. The tiny robot comes out of his pocket, introducing itself as the system's spirit and revealing that it's only visible to him. A strange light suddenly appears, as the system informs him about a cultivator who is stuck within the teleportation space channel. Lin wants to help, so the system teaches him how to absorb energy. He tries it out, and he absorbs the energy from the source of light, opening a portal as a girl flies out. She ends up landing on him, but Lin finds her super cute. The girl checks up on him, offering to help him up. As he touches her hand, the system detects this and gives him a new outfit to enhance his image, changing his appearance. The girl introduces herself as Lana, and he tells her he's from the mortal world. She's surprised to hear this, but he shows her his recommendation letter. He follows her to the Magic Academy, which is revealed to be a continent floating in the sky. There are countless students flying by, and they hear the crowd chanting in the distance, so they check it out, and they see a monolith. Lana explains that their class will be decided by the monolith, based on their cultivation level, and over 10,000 new students will be divided across 100 classes, with the geniuses all being assigned to Class 1. They see it in action, as it measures the cultivation of a 9th stage newcomer named Wei, assigning him to Class 1. The next participant named Cheng steps forward with his recommendation letter, which impresses the crowd, because only true geniuses get recommended. Cheng takes the test, and the monolith reveals he's already in the spirit nurturing level, so he earns his spot in Class 1. Lana is called up next, and she's revealed to also be at the 9th stage, so she also makes it into the class. She tells Lin she'll be waiting for him to join her, as he gets called out next. Lin nervously walks forward, thinking he's never cultivated before, and he shows his recommendation letter. As the instructor Ying reads the letter, she's surprised to learn that it's from Master Lu, a legendary master who has attained immortality above even the gods. The numerology instructor Mingyun assesses Lin's power, saying he will bring forth miracles that will shock the world. The crowd starts cheering for him, and Lin touches the monolith, but everyone falls silent as the monolith announces he's at stage 0, but he still gets a spot in Class 1. Mingyun mentions this is the worst enrollment score for the class, so Lin walks away disappointed, as he passes by a 3rd stage cultivator named Lu, who seems to dislike him. Lu takes the test, and he's assigned to Class 100, causing him to despair, and he thinks it's not fair for Lin to be in Class 1. Everyone starts to accuse Lin of pulling strings, and Wei steps forward, imploring Mingyun to withdraw the result, agreeing with Lu. Mingyun tells him it's impossible, so Wei challenges Lin to a fight. But Lana quickly flies away with him, apologizing for not knowing he was level 0, telling him she will protect him as she takes him to the dormitory. At night, Lin wonders what he can do about his haters, and the system suggests upgrading his level, as it shows him quests he can do to level up. He gets a quest to do 10 push-ups, which he easily completes, leveling him up to the 1st stage, boosting his strength so he can do a push-up with a single finger. He does some more quests, and he easily reaches the 3rd stage by only doing push-ups. But he realizes he can't get any stronger from doing push-ups, so the system suggests he ask Lana for advice. Lin leaves the dorm, but he suddenly gets ambushed. He uses his spiritual eyes to dodge the attacks, as he assesses the man's spiritual level, learning that he's also at the 3rd stage. The man continues his assault, managing to land a punch, which pushes Lin back. Lin uses his new speed to move around, and the man can't keep up with his movements. The man is surprised to see that Lin is already behind him, and Lin kicks him away. The man is revealed to be Lu, who asks him when he reached the 3rd stage. Lin claims he's a genius, so he can level up his cultivation in a matter of days. Lu pulls out a talisman, as the system warns him that he can't block or evade the attack. It suggests using the Heavenly Gateway to melt the talisman's power, but it's an extremely risky move. Lu throws his talisman, but it suddenly explodes as Lana joins the fight, pointing her blade at Lu. At that moment, they see another Lu at their dorm's entrance, calling out to Lin, and this makes them confused. The enemy suddenly attacks Lana, but Lin blocks the attack, using the Heavenly Gateway to melt the man's power. Lana swings her sword, pushing the man back, and he quickly retreats. Lin falls to his knees, realizing the move's backlash is really powerful, as Lu arrives, trying to pick a fight with him, but Lana scares him away. Lana suggests seeing a doctor, but Lin says he's okay, claiming he's about to break through to the 4th stage. Lana thinks she wasn't able to help Lin, revealing she came to the academy to obtain the power to protect others. She thinks Lin will be amazing in the future, but until then, she wants to protect him. The next day, he recalls how he was attacked, thinking Ying would investigate the incident, but she just congratulates Lin for becoming the enemy of the entire school. During cultivation class, he's surprised to learn that the instructor is a tree named Qing, and we learn he's a tree because it is the form his cultivation has taken. Lana tells him about another person with a recommendation letter, who is already at the spiritual nurturing level. A woman named Su enters the portal, and Lin uses his spiritual eyes to see her level, but he can't because her level is too high. Qing begins the class, saying he sent a trail of the cultivational realm for their enlightenment, and he tells them to pay attention, but he immediately ends the class. Lin is surprised to hear this, but he notices that everyone is meditating, so he uses his spiritual eye, and he realizes that everyone is surrounded by energy. Lana reveals the cultivational realm can only be sensed, and Lin realizes he missed out, saying he will just get it in the next class. During swordsmanship class, the sword introduces himself as their instructor, and he begins the class, sending out some energy. Lin doesn't feel anything, but as he turns around, he sees everyone meditating, realizing he missed out again. In the next class, he sees a fireball, and he immediately recognizes it as their instructor, but he has no idea what it's talking about. After that, Ying serves as the instructor of the mortal class. She immediately appoints Lin as the class representative, and she gives everyone a cell phone, telling them to play with it for the entire class. Everyone starts performing the task, but Lin is confused, asking Ying why they are doing this. She reveals the mortal class is like a PE class, so he should stop complaining, and this makes Lin sad, because he really wants to learn. Mingyan welcomes everyone to the numerology class, as he gives everyone an overview. Lin is happy to see that it's like a proper class, but he tells everyone to go to sleep and write down what they dreamed about. Lin suddenly becomes drowsy, but before he falls asleep, Mingyan tells him he has a bloodbath waiting for him after he wakes up. After some time, Lin wakes up with Lana calling out to him, and he realizes they're now in the middle of magic class, where Ying wants to hold a magical sparring session. Ying wants Lin to spar with Cheng, so he walks forward, but Lana stops him and attacks Cheng with a fire skill, but he easily blocks it. Lana runs around and continues to pressure him, but he single-handedly pushes her back. Lana charges again, but Cheng blocks her attacks, telling her to stand down as she takes to the skies, covering herself in flames. She dives toward Cheng, who uses his barrier to defend himself, and the system advises Lin to use his spiritual eyes. So he follows its instructions, and he learns about the weak point of Cheng's technique. Lana rains fire on Cheng, but the barrier protects him, and he's about to make his move. But Lana strikes his barrier, managing to crack it, and she tries to destroy it. But Cheng says she still hasn't cultivated enough, blowing her away and using a skill to push her to the ground. But Lin gets in the way, using the Heavenly Gateway to protect her, and this creates a shockwave, covering the area in smoke. Everyone thinks he's done for, but they're surprised to see that he's still standing. Lin activates his spiritual eyes, and he launches an energy blast with his fist, but Cheng easily dodges it. He wraps his chains around Lin and delivers a devastating attack, but he stands his ground, and he manages to counter Cheng's technique. He realizes that his barrier has been broken and the chains shatter, allowing Lin to move. At that moment, Lin reaches the 4th stage, which surprises everyone because he was able to do it in one night, and the system tells him about the next upgrading quests, saying he needs to absorb spirit stones. Ching admits defeat, saying he's impressed, and Ying welcomes him to the world of cultivation. The elder named Yua suddenly appears, saying something went wrong at the battle for freedom, so Ying dismisses the class, and she takes her leave. Ching approaches Lin and Lana, saying they have great potential, so he's willing to help them. Lin asks for spirit stones, but Lana is surprised to hear this, thinking he's asking for money, as she reveals that spirit stones are the currency of the world. So he becomes embarrassed, but Ching gives him a ring, which is worth 5,000 spirit stones. Ching walks away, asking Lin if he's also a military enthusiast, and we learn that they have something in common. So they start to get along, and Ching invites Lin to watch war movies at his place. Sue approaches them, thinking they're good people, so she wants to be friends with them. She wants to study Mortal class with Lin, and he tells her to look for him anytime she needs help. We learn that the Battle for Freedom is an annual survival contest, where all the disciples are required to participate. The system issues a special quest, saying Lin needs to be in the top 50 to receive a spiritual weapon, and it warns him that he will turn into a girl if he fails. Lin has a dream about turning into a girl, causing him to become terrified, but he suddenly wakes up, realizing that he needs to get stronger because he doesn't want to fail the quest. He absorbs his spirit stones, allowing him to reach the 7th stage, and the system informs him that his body has become stronger. He tries punching, and he realizes that he can throw powerful punches in rapid succession, so he thinks he has a chance to finish the special quest. Lin asks the system to tell him about the Battle for Freedom, so it shows him a map, telling him that the event is a large-scale battle, where more than 50,000 students will participate. The exercise area will gradually shrink as the participants are eliminated, until only one of them is left standing. Given his current capabilities, his rank is 29,653, so he freaks out, knowing he only has 1 month left to prepare, and the system reminds him that everyone hates him, so they're going to hunt him down. He thinks he's going to fail the quest, so he asks his friends if they're going to accept him if he turns into a girl, but they think he's gone nuts. So he becomes embarrassed, realizing that he needs to complete the quest, or his life is going to be ruined. Lin asks the system to show him the next upgrading quest, and it reveals that he needs to defeat an enemy who is at least at the 9th stage, but he knows he isn't strong enough to do this. The system adds that he has just unlocked the technical skill quests, so he can use the essence of the mountain to learn a god-level skill. It mentions that if he completes the upgrading quest, his ranking will increase to 4653, so he thinks about asking Lana to lose to him on purpose. Lana reveals she's already at the 10th stage, and he's about to ask for her help, but he's too embarrassed to say it, so he ends up asking for the essence of the mountain instead. He goes to Cheng, asking him to lose on purpose, but he refuses, telling Lin not to rely on evil practices to cultivate. But Lin begs him to do it, and Cheng agrees to this, saying he will tell him his weakness, but Lin doesn't want him to share it, seeing it as a vital secret, so he thinks about returning to Lana. Lin kneels before Lana, as he makes his request to do a sneak attack on her, but she notices that Lin is nervous, so she thinks he's trying to confess his feelings. She also becomes nervous, saying it's okay, because they need to help each other as partners, and this makes him happy. He returns to Cheng, saying he wants to learn a new move, so Cheng teaches him a binding technique, telling him to use it on Lana. The next day, Lana gives Lin the essence of the mountain, but he suddenly uses the binding technique, and he's about to attack her, but she starts crying, so he hesitates. A stone causes him to lose his footing, and he ends up touching her chest, causing her to become upset. She gives Lin the essence of the mountain, and cries as she runs away, calling him a jerk, so he returns to Cheng, saying he messed up. That evening, Lin reads the notes that Lana gave him, and he learns about the rank 1 disciple named Wang, realizing that he's an extremely powerful fighter. She advises Lin to escape, and asks for her help upon seeing Wang, wanting to protect him during the battle for freedom. He eats the essence of the mountain, and he thinks about apologizing to her, but his stomach starts to hurt as the essence starts to take effect. Lin experiences diarrhea, and the system informs him that it will last for 13 days, saying he will learn the god-level skill once it's over. But he knows that the battle is 10 days away, so he's afraid he will need to deal with it during the contest. The next day, Lin is sleep deprived, since he spent the entire night taking a dump. He's afraid that he won't be able to participate in the contest, as the system explains that there's no way to speed it up. During their class, everyone notices that Lin is absent, and Lana hears them talking about him. Cheng knocks at his door, asking him why he didn't go to class, as he reveals that their classmates think he's hiding from the battle for freedom. Lin says he needs to flush out a blockage, and Cheng thinks he's dealing with his inner demon, so Cheng chants Heart Sutra to help him out. He starts pooping like crazy, as the process speeds up, so he asks Cheng to return every day, but he says he won't be leaving, as he continues chanting. Lin struggles at the toilet, as the sutra speeds up the process, and after a few days, we see that the process is almost complete, because Cheng has been helping him out. The disciples gather around the monolith, as Lana wonders why Lin hasn't talked to her yet. We see Lin enduring the pain, as he's approached by a dog named Dubai, who introduces himself as an observer. Dubai knows he's having a hard time, trying to use his powers to help him out, but it doesn't do much, and Dubai can sense that he has incredible potential, saying he wants to be with him. Yuwa appears, telling everyone that the battle will begin as soon as they enter the venue. He explains that their contribution is going to determine their rankings, revealing that he casts golden light on all the disciples to protect them, but they will be eliminated once it's broken. He teleports everyone to the venue, and the battle begins, as Cheng and Su eliminate everyone around them. Lu prepares to fight Lin, who easily breaks his sword, and Lin asks for toilet paper, but Lu says he doesn't have one, so Lin walks away. After he leaves, Wei approaches Lu, asking him about Lin, but he points him to the wrong direction. We see Lana observing the arena, as she checks out Lin's location, but she's still upset, so she doesn't want to see him. Lin is taking a dump behind a tree, and the process is about to be completed, but he's spotted by an 8th stage disciple, who immediately recognizes him. The disciple challenges him to a fight, but 4 9th stage disciples arrive, and they all hate him, so they want to take him out. The 8th stage disciple says he doesn't hate Lin, but he wants to have the bounty on his head, so they get rid of him. But Lin tells them it's better for one person to have all the bounty, and they realize that they can make a fortune if they don't work together, so they start fighting each other, as he continues to take a dump. He manages to complete the quest, allowing him to learn the god-level skill, and the system suggests using it as a counterattack. He starts glowing brightly as he faces the disciples, who try to gang up on him, but he uses the god-level skill, launching a powerful energy beam, which instantly blows them away. By defeating the 9th stage cultivators, Lin has completed the upgrade quest, allowing him to reach the 8th stage. But the system tells him that he has no chance to reach the top 50 if he doesn't upgrade himself, so he asks the system about his next quest. So it reveals that he needs to defeat 10 9th stage cultivators and learn earth martial arts at the Black Rock Peak to reach the next stage. He sees the Black Rock Peak floating in the sky, but he wonders how he can get there, and at that moment, Lu approaches him, asking for his help. Lu opens a hidden portal, where all the survivors from Class 100 are hiding, and Lu explains that they're incredibly weak, so they don't want to fight the other students. We learn that they want Lin to reach the top spot, because he has the heart of a weakling, and Lu tells him to gently eliminate them, so that they won't experience pain. So Lin happily takes them out, increasing his rank, but the spectators condemn this behavior, thinking it's against the rules. He's now at rank 7864, thinking about finishing the upgrade quest, when the system warns him that a powerful cultivator is approaching him, and a tree is suddenly sliced in half. The disciple appears, and he charges at Lin, but he gets hit by a powerful energy beam, causing him to lose the contest. The system warns him that there's another powerful cultivator nearby, and he sees a girl hovering above him, who's already at the spiritual nurturing level. We learn that her name is Quinn, and she ranked 2nd in the previous contest. She recognizes Lin, asking him to play with her, as she reveals that she wants to play games with men from the mortal world, to see if he's her type. She wants him to answer 20 questions in 10 minutes, and he agrees to play with her. So they sit together, as he answers Quinn's questions about the mortal world, but she starts asking about the people in the academy. She asks him if Lana or Su is prettier, and he picks Su, but she calls him a traitor, thinking Lana is his girlfriend. But Lin denies this, saying Lana sees him as a jerk, because he accidentally touched her chest. Quinn checks his aura, confirming that he's telling the truth, so she proceeds to the next question. She asks him if she's prettier than Lana, and he tells her that she is, causing her to feel flattered. They run out of time, but she proceeds with the last question anyway, asking him if he wants to be an ordinary but happy mortal, or a great but lonely immortal. But he says he wants to be someone who can help mortals become great and make cultivators happy. Quinn likes his answer, so she welcomes him to her club, saying he's the first member and he's about to leave, but she tells him that he can't, because they need to play games until the contest ends. The system warns him that he won't be able to reach the top 50 if he joins her, so he wonders how he can reach the Black Rock Peak. He comes up with an idea, and he rides Quinn's broom, telling her that he knows a nice place where they can play a game, and he points her to the Black Rock Peak. Meanwhile, Lana encounters Dubai, who warns Lana that there are disciples pursuing Lin for the bounty, but he thinks Lin is no match for them, since he isn't feeling well. Dubai knows that he got diarrhea by cultivating a divine art, saying he found Lin because of the smell of his poop, and Lana realizes that this is the reason why he wasn't talking to her. At that moment, Wei suddenly arrives, attacking them with his skill, but we cut to Lin and Quinn as they reach the Black Rock Peak. The system tells Lin that he's about to absorb the power of the earth, but it will take 24 hours to complete the process, and it suggests ambushing Quinn once the process is complete. They see a strange cultivator at the peak, and Quinn wonders who he is, so he introduces himself as Chen, saying he's been waiting for Lin, but he suddenly disappears. Lin asks Quinn about him, but she doesn't remember seeing him, saying Lin must have been hallucinating. Ying knows about Chen, thinking he's stuck at the 8th stage, but Mingyan says she just fell for Chen's trick, saying he was just avoiding karma. Mingyan doesn't know Chen's true level, saying he's more interested in Lin, since the students who got recommended this year are somehow tied to him. Ying finds Mingyan interesting, saying the head of the academy made him hold office before he disappeared, but he has no past record, so she wonders who he is, but Mingyan laughs, saying she will find out in the future. Lana slices through Wei's skill, realizing that he was the one who ambushed Lin, so she asks him why he's targeting Lin. He reveals that mortals are his enemies, advising Lana to stay away from Lin if she doesn't want to be the enemy of his sect, but Dubai suddenly attacks him. So he counters, but Lana closes the distance, exchanging blows with him, but he manages to push her back. They realize that the disciples of Wei's sect have been summoned, so Lana and Dubai start running away, but Wei thinks they can't escape. We return to Lin, as he plays a game with Quinn, and he ends up winning, but she tampers with the program, allowing her to secure victory during the rematch. Quinn dreams about starting a gaming company in the mortal world, saying Lin can be her manager, and they seem to be getting along. But the system informs him that the process will be completed in 5 minutes, revealing that his good mood accelerated the process. They watch the sun as it rises, and Quinn admits she had fun, calling Lin her first friend. She reveals that people call her a genius, but they don't really see her as a person, thinking they're just using her as a cultivational tool. So he suggests changing the world, saying they can just form their own sect. Quinn likes the idea, but she thinks he isn't being sincere, reminding him about her ability to detect lies. She says he hasn't been honest with her since they reached the peak, because the aura around him is murky. But we learn that he's being honest with her, and she's just detecting the Earth's energy around him. Lin tries to explain this, saying he's been training, but she doesn't believe him, knowing he didn't have time to train, because he was too busy playing games with her. At that moment, the system suspends the absorption, removing his murky aura, and he tells her the truth, saying he wanted to attack her. Quinn knows this is true, so she tells him to go ahead, and she summons her staff, preparing to use her skill. Lin prepares for battle, but he claims that he was being sincere, wondering why she won't believe him. This makes her hesitate, so she lets her guard down, but the system advises him to attack her, and it releases the energy from his body, pushing her back. But she summons her weapon, and she launches a counterattack, which brings him to his knees. She threatens him, wondering why he attacked her, but he claims that it was just an accident, and she knows he's telling the truth. He explains that everything he said was true, saying his training affected his aura, but Quinn still doesn't believe him. So he tells her about the war god system, saying he's using it to get stronger, and she becomes upset, because everything he said is true, realizing that she confronted him for no reason. She orders him to tell her a lie, so he tells her that he doesn't cultivate using the system, and he's using an essence to get stronger. She confirms that he's lying, and he warns her that she will get diarrhea if she consumes it, but she eats it anyway, and her stomach starts to hurt. The system suggests giving her earth energy, saying it will help digest the essence. He follows the system's instructions, touching her stomach, causing the pain to disappear. He's about to walk away, but she stops him, giving him a headband, as she explains that cultivators at the spiritual nurturing level can't hurt him if he wears it. He decides to wear it, and he jumps off the platform, as the system tells him that the battle for freedom will end in 47 hours, and his current rank is 7,864. But it thinks he has a high chance of making it to the top 50, since the battle is far from over. He suddenly gets attacked, and he sees the man named Wang, who is the best disciple in the entire school. Wang calls out to Chen, challenging him to a fight, as he threatens to eliminate everyone if he doesn't respond. Lin pulls out his tracker, and he sees the location of Lana, thinking she's in danger, so he rushes to get to her. We see that the disciples from Wei's sect have captured Dubai, and one of them tries to force him into signing a beast pet contract, when Lana suddenly arrives to save him, but Wei attacks her from behind. She struggles against the disciples, and she ends up getting disarmed by Wei, who asks her to stay away from Lin. But she thinks he's just insecure, because Lin is stronger than him, so he becomes upset, preparing to finish her off. But her tracker starts beeping, as Lin suddenly crashes down, knocking everyone down. Lin surrounds his friends with earth energy, as Wang electrocutes everyone, eliminating thousands of participants in an instant. We see Chen sitting on a rock, stopping the lightning before it hits him, and he mentions that the time has come. Lin's headband protects them from the lightning, but it runs out of energy, causing it to crumble, and the system tells him that there are 132 participants remaining in the forest, so he has an extremely low chance of making it to the top 50. Wei and two other disciples are still alive, and Lin prepares to take them on, but they look down on him because he's still at the 8th stage. But Lin easily defeats Wei's companions, so he becomes nervous. Lin is about to eliminate Wei, but Lana stops him, saying Wei was the one who put a bounty on his head, so he needs to make Wei suffer. He asks Wei to explain his motives, but as he's about to give his explanation, Lin suddenly punches him away. Lin sees other disciples behind him, so he quickly takes them out, and he completes his upgrading quest, allowing him to reach the 9th stage. He apologizes to Lana, telling her what happened to him, and they finally come to terms, but Wang continues to call out to Chen, threatening to destroy the forest if he doesn't appear. Wang prepares to destroy the forest, but Su arrives to stop him, and he recognizes Su, saying she looks like a goddess, but she tells Wang not to talk to her, saying she doesn't like him, so he becomes devastated. At that moment, Cheng restricts Wang with his chains, as he joins Su, and they challenge him to a fight. But Wang says they can't defeat him, as he breaks the chain on his arm, and he easily blocks Su's attacks. Cheng asks for everyone's help to set up his technique, telling them to offer their spiritual power to defeat Wang. He receives power from the disciples, but Cheng says he needs more help, knowing there are disciples who aren't cooperating, and Wang laughs at him, thinking his plan is going to fail. Wang breaks the restraints, and Su launches an attack, but he easily overpowers her. He tries to ask her out, but she rejects him, eliminating herself from the contest. Wang becomes enraged, summoning a lightning dragon to attack, and Cheng tries to block it with his skill, but it ends up shattering, and he gets taken out in an instant. Yuan notes that Wang's technique is close to the divine level, and Wang continues his onslaught, wiping out the remaining participants. Lin's group is about to get hit by lightning, but Chen stops it with his finger, asking Lin if he has mastered the finger of heaven. He says he needs to leave, but he wants Lin to master the move, and he disappears before their eyes. The system informs him that there are only 5 participants left, so Lin thinks he's doomed, thinking he needs to defeat more participants to rank up, but he learns that he can still complete the quest by defeating Wang. Lin knows this is a difficult task, but he doesn't want to turn into a girl, so he calls out to Wang, telling him to come down. Lana wonders what Lin is doing, but he eliminates her from the contest, telling her to wait for him outside, as Wang approaches him. Wang asks him about Chen, so Lin explains that he left, and he isn't going to return, causing Wang to become upset. Lin challenges him to a fight, but Wang laughs at him, summoning lightning to strike him down. The system warns Lin that Wang could kill him, but he knows this is his only chance, so he decides to fight. Dabai steps forward, wanting to fight with Lin, but he tells Dabai they can hang out next time, and he eliminates Dabai from the contest. Ying is afraid that Lin could die, but Mingyan tells her that he's about to reach a new level of power, saying they shouldn't stop the fight. Wang pierces the sky with his lightning, calling forth a massive dragon. So Lin tries to stop it with his god-level skill, but it does nothing, and he closes his eyes as the dragon descends upon him. At that moment, the system notifies him that he has learned the finger of heaven, so he points his finger, releasing a powerful beam of light, which illuminates the scene and causes the cameras to malfunction. The light pierces the sky, and everyone sees it, realizing that Wang has been defeated. The camera is restored, and they start praising Lin, who has just reached rank 2. Yuhua witnesses his power, and he's impressed to see this, asking Mingyan about the disciples they will send to the mortal realm. We learn that Wei is one of them, but Yuhua decides to replace him, thinking Lin is a better option. After the battle, Lin becomes unconscious for 10 days, because he consumed all of his energy, but he recovers thanks to Yuhua's elixir. Everyone starts seeing him as the strongest, and the system congratulates him for completing the quest, telling him that he has unlocked the almighty technique. But he has no idea how to use it, and he receives items from the academy as a reward. A month later, Yuhua informs everyone that the Demon King has escaped because the seal in the mortal world has been broken, so they need to send outstanding disciples as messengers to represent the spiritual world. Wei hears everyone talking about him, knowing he's been replaced by Lin, so he becomes upset, because he always wanted to be sent as a messenger. We learn that prior to the announcement, Wang already told him about this, but he wonders why his father, the sect leader, didn't inform him, thinking he must have brought shame to their sect. He mentions that Wang also lost to Lin, thinking the sect shouldn't see him as a failure, and his father should use his influence to secure a spot for him. But Wang laughs, and he summons a lightning dragon, causing Wei to fall to his knees. He reminds Wei that there is a huge power gap between them, and he reveals that Yuhua said something to his father, but he thinks Wei isn't ready to know the truth. Yuhua appoints Lin, Cheng, and Lana as messengers, and he mentions that Lin has outstanding strength, so he assigns Lin as the leader of the group. He promises to complete the mission, as he explains that he's honored to be chosen as a messenger. Dabai gives him a scroll, which Lin presents to the crowd, telling them he will buy items for them at the mortal world, and he explains that he won't do it to earn profit, but to make new friends. Everyone cheers for him, because they want to buy something from the mortal world, but Wei thinks a messenger shouldn't be doing this. Quinn announces that she's starting an esports club with Lin, saying they're accepting new recruits, and we see that everyone is happy to hear this. The next day, the disciples line up at Lin's dorm, wanting to buy something from the mortal world, as Quinn shows them her video games. Wei is jealous to see that their business is doing well, and he recalls the conversation he had with Wang. Wang reveals that Yuhua told the sect leader about Mingyan's calculations, which predicts that the journey to the mortal world is going to be dangerous, so Wei could end up dying if he joins as a messenger. He explains that it would also be dangerous for Lin, but Mingyan mentioned that the will of heaven wants Lin to descend to the mortal world. Wei thinks about this, and he wonders why the will of heaven didn't choose him, so he starts crying. At that moment, the system notifies Lin that he has unlocked the crybaby technique, because he just made his enemy cry. So Lin wonders who's crying, when Quinn taps his shoulder, telling him that people have registered to their club, and he claims it's because of his marketing technique. Lana sees them, so she becomes jealous, as Quinn gives him her storage ring, telling him it's special. Mingyan suddenly approaches Lin, and he freaks out, knowing Mingyan always delivers bad news. He says he's there to tell Lin something, so he runs away, telling his friends to pack up, but Lana asks Mingyan what he wanted to tell Lin. So he tells her their journey is going to be filled with danger and death, saying there's nothing they can do about it. They're about to begin their journey, and Sheng opens a portal to the mortal realm, but dark arms suddenly appear, grabbing onto Lin and pushing the others back. Lana clings to him as he's pulled into the portal, and Sheng manages to enter it before it closes. Lana tries to wake Lin up, but the dark arms surround her, causing her to lose consciousness. The system warns Lin that his life is in danger, so it wakes Lin up, and he realizes that he's about to fall to his death. He grabs onto her, as the system informs him that they're 3 kilometers above sea level, but it doesn't tell him what to do. so he surrounds their bodies with earth energy, bracing for impact, but as they're about to hit the ground, they pass by a strange flower spirit, destroying its body. They hit the ground with tremendous force, but they're able to survive, and Lana regains consciousness, realizing that Lin is in terrible shape. Cheng catches up to them, using his magic to heal Lin, but they suddenly hear someone calling for help, and his friends point at his head. So Lin pulls out a mirror, allowing him to see the flower on his head, and it asks him why he snatched her body away, but it suddenly disappears, as an enormous ship covers the sky. We see a girl on the ship named Ling, who reports that she has seen the messengers, and she orders them to go with her. So they board the ship, and it takes them to a certain location. Lin introduces himself as the group leader, asking Ling what's happening, but she mocks the spiritual world for making a 9th stage disciple the leader. Lana pulls out her sword, asking Ling what she wants from them, but she prepares to fight, activating her skill as she reveals that she's at the 10th stage. They're about to clash, but they suddenly stop as Cheng takes a picture of them, saying he has captured their spirits. He offers to send the picture to Ling, and he reminds Lana that they must maintain their friendship with the mortal world, so she apologizes for her behavior. They leave the ship, and Ling tells them to follow her, as she takes them to her superiors, telling them that the messengers have arrived. A woman introduces herself as Yua, the president of the Alliance, and Lin recognizes her, because he used to watch her cultivation ads in the mortal world. Lana knows that Ling's superiors are both at the spiritual nurturing level, and Yua reveals that they gathered to embark on a combat mission. Lin thinks they're going to capture the Demon Lord, but they laugh at him, as the deacon of the Alliance named Shigo reveals that the Demon Lord has already been defeated, saying they just need to deal with the disciples of the demon cult. He explains that Lin's group was welcomed because he wants to send them back to the spiritual world, saying the Alliance doesn't need their help. He opens a portal, but Cheng tells Shigo that they didn't experience any courtesy, reminding him that they're supposed to be friends. But Shigo reveals that he repeatedly asked for Mingyun's help, but he didn't send reinforcements, so they had to deal with the threat themselves, and Shigo expresses his disappointment, saying they're the weakest messengers he's ever seen. At that moment, the alarm rings, as the establishment is attacked by bloodclan warriors, and Yua is surprised to hear this, thinking the bloodclan has allied with the demon cult. Lin's group wants to help, but Shigo becomes furious, saying their only mission is to be chased back to the spiritual world. But they refuse to leave, so he attacks them with an energy beam, but Cheng uses his barrier to protect them. Shigo threatens to fight them if they don't leave, but Cheng challenges him, saying he should accept their help if he wins. But the system advises Lin to take Cheng's place, so he tells Shigo to fight him instead. Shigo accepts, and he immediately uses a water skill, while Lin covers himself with the earth's energy, but Ling suddenly appears behind him, saying he has no right to challenge her father, as she kicks him away. Ling continues her beatdown, as Shigo tells him to give up, calling her a genius, but Lin manages to grab her, and she uses her skill, allowing her to break free. She charges in, creating explosions with her fists, but Lin uses his heavenly gateway to absorb her powers. So she retreats, and she launches an energy ball, but it gets absorbed by the heavenly gateway. Ling uses the energy, charging at Shigo as he unleashes his god-level skill, so Shigo tries to defend, but Lin uses his crybaby skill, and Shigo remembers the moment his wife left him. Lin is about to strike him down, but Yua absorbs all of his energy. She says they're both skilled at illusions, as she sees Shigo crying, calling the crybaby skill a soul-level illusion. Yua admits that his strength is extraordinary, but she challenges him to withstand her soul attack before they accept help from his group. She uses her skill on him, surrounding him with magical energy, but Ling refuses to admit defeat, so she charges at Lin, but she loses consciousness as she enters the skill's area of effect. Lin grabs onto her, and he uses his almighty technique, and he exudes a powerful aura, as a pillar of light appears, allowing him to dispel Yua's illusion. Everyone's surprised to see this, and we learn that the almighty technique makes his desires absolute in the world. He slowly descends to the ground, as Shigo realizes that the world of cultivation is vast, and Yua asks him if he used an illusion. But he denies this, saying it counts as a soul attack, so she admits defeat, and decides to accept their help. The alarm rings again, so they open a portal, and Shigo takes Lin and Ling, telling them to get along, as he throws them inside the portal. As they're being teleported, the system notifies him that he has just perfected his spiritual eyes, so he can now see through everything. They arrive at the ghost village, and Ling explains that their mission is to investigate the enemy so that the headquarters can come up with countermeasures. Ling warns him that the mist is poisonous, and they see it at a distance, so Ling uses a skill to survey the area. The system reveals that the Earth's energy can dispel the toxic mist, and the spiritual eyes can see through it. Ling detects two powerful enemies nearby, so she reports this to the headquarters, asking for reinforcements. The Alliance receives the report, so they think about sending 2 disciples to help Lin, but Shigo doesn't want to send Lin's friends, because it would disrupt the battle deployment. But Lana and Shang are worried about him, so they implore Shigo to let them join the battle. The enemies make their way to Lin, spreading the mist as they move, so Ling tells him to retreat, but he refuses, activating his spiritual eyes, and he mentions that her report was wrong, because there are 4 enemies approaching them. The mist continues to spread, but Lin pushes it back, saying he'll go in to check on the enemy, as he surrounds himself with earth energy. A few moments later, he returns to her, running away with her, and he asks for her phone, as he reveals that their enemies are at the spiritual nurturing level, so they're going to need help. Ling hears the enemies crying, and we learn that he talked to them when he entered the mist, and they thought he was making fun of them, so they tried to attack him, but he used his crybaby skill to stop them. Back at the headquarters, Shigo refuses to send Lana and Chang, saying their levels aren't high enough, and Yua orders 2 disciples to go instead. As they're about to leave, Lana gets in their way, wanting to go with them, so Shigo becomes upset, ordering the disciples to attack her. One of them fires an energy beam, and she manages to defend herself, but she gets pushed back, as she tells Chang that Lin is in danger. So he joins the fight, using his technique to save her, and he promises to succeed in the ghost village, saying they can have his head if he fails. Chang and Lin enter the portal, as Shigo receives reports from other areas, revealing that they're surrounded by enemies of unknown level. They see an image of a woman named Kuro, who Shigo recognizes as a threat, so Yua gives the order to send an urgent message to the spiritual world. Yua orders everyone to defeat Kuro, and one of them is about to enter the portal, but he suddenly stops, so they pull him away. But they realize that his face is covered with dark energy, so Shigo tries to attack the portal, but dark energy flows out of it, and it completely overpowers them, knocking them down as the portal disappears. A rift opens, covering the area in dark energy, as Kuro makes her entrance, saying they now have 10 human sacrifices. Yua tries to use an ability, but Kuro absorbs her energy, saying she will catch the main target for the ceremony. Meanwhile, Lin's friends join him on the battlefield, and they lose contact with their base. Ling knows that something happened, saying the situation is out of control, so she wonders what they should do. She tells everyone to retreat, saying they should return with reinforcements, but Lin tells her that they haven't lost the battle yet, and Sheng thinks they can turn the tables. Lin realizes it's too silent, so he takes a peek when a vampire suddenly charges at him. She flies away with him, using her skill before letting him go, and as he falls, 2 other vampires attack him, causing him to lose consciousness. Sheng tries to help, but a vampire stops him, pushing him back, so he uses his binding technique, wrapping her in chains, before landing a decisive blow. Lin continues to fall as 2 vampires attack Cheng, preventing him from reaching Lin, and he's about to hit the ground, so Lana jumps to save him, but a demon summons lightning, blowing them away. They both hit the ground, and Ling tries to attack the demon, but he uses a lightning spell, knocking her down. He's about to finish her off, but Cheng arrives to save her, trying to stab the demon, who grabs his blade. The vampires are about to attack him, but he uses his barrier to keep them away, and Lana recovers, so she runs to Lin, but a vampire gets in her way, using a sonic attack to stop her. The enemy grabs onto Lin, ready to bite his neck, when Lin uses his almighty technique to disable the enemies, causing them to become distracted, and his friends use this opportunity to take them out. Lin gets back up, but a rift suddenly appears behind him, and arms grab onto him, pulling him into the rift before it closes. Kuro prepares for the ceremony, reaching out to a ball filled with dark energy, where we see Lin as the system wakes him up. It tells him that he's in a major crisis, so it suggests using the ring that Quen gave him. The system advises him to focus all of his thoughts into the ring, telling him to yell a transformation line. So he follows the instructions, causing the ring to glow brightly as he sees a woman's arm grabbing onto his hand. The rift closes before Lana could enter, and the vampire is about to bite her, but Ching saves her, pushing the vampire away. Lana sees a rift behind Ling, so she uses her skill as she thrusts at it, and she almost hits Kuro at the other side. At that moment, the ball explodes, creating a powerful shockwave, which blows the vampires away as a pillar of light appears, and we see Quen holding onto Lin. She dashes off, taking out the vampires in an instant, and she sends Lin's friends into the rift. Kuro approaches them, recognizing Lin's ring as a divine item, which allows the wearer to travel across space. Quen recognizes Kuro, who is revealed to be at the divine level, so Quen wonders what she's doing in the mortal world. Kuro opens a rift, trying to attack Quen, but the flower appears, telling her to keep quiet, and it burns her hand, forcing her to retreat. The flower disappears, and Quen lets go of Lin, saying he's slowing her down. Quen suddenly appears behind Kuro, cutting her wing, so she jumps away, and Quen returns to her allies, saying Kuro won't unleash her full power while in the mortal world, so Quen thinks they can win. Kuro removes her wings, as she summons a divine nail, which absorbs the energy of the cultivators she captured, and it strikes the ground, causing a divine sword to appear. Kuro reveals how God ordered her to go to the mortal world, and use 3 divine weapons to kill Lin. She takes the sword, and she starts approaching them, as the system informs Lin that the sword can shatter the laws, and it can even destroy the system. Kuro launches her nail at Lin, hitting his hand, and it teleports him towards her. She stabs his hand, which corrupts his body, causing him to collapse, and his friends try to save him, but they're stopped by an unknown force, which takes their powers away. A disc flies to Kuro, who reveals that it's another divine weapon, and she activates it, creating a massive formation around them. She falls to the ground, telling them that the formation will destroy the world when dawn breaks, and Lana wonders why she's doing this. So she reveals that she needs to eliminate Lin, because he doesn't belong in this world, and she loses consciousness. Lin is given a choice to exchange 1/5 of his life for absolute power, and he's about to accept it, but a fairy stops him, telling him not to do it. The corruption spreads to his eyes, and he sees a giant sword, as the system tells him that he's in a world inside his body. The sword releases chains, wrapping it around the system and causing the corruption to spread, as the system reveals that the sword is severing their connection. A fairy comes out of the system, and he rushes to get to her, but she tells him to stop, warning him that he will be caught in a calamity if he touches her. The fairy reveals that her name is Tina, and she's from a world where she lost him during a calamity, so she used all of her powers to join him in that world, wanting to change fate. We learn that Master Lu helped her find him, and she transformed herself into the system to keep him company, but she doesn't belong in that world, so Heaven is going to get rid of her. He sees Tina disappearing from his memories, as he realizes that she was protecting him the entire time, and she reveals that the calamity will end after she disappears, but he suddenly hugs her. Lightning is about to hit them, but he uses the finger of Heaven to shatter the sky, and they return to the real world. He sees that all of his friends are unconscious, and Tina approaches him, telling him they can stop the calamity, but it will keep on returning until she disappears. The formation is about to activate, as Lin explains that he wants Tina to stay, but she starts to disappear, so he becomes sad. Tina wants to act like the spirit of the system until the very end, so she tells him to prepare for their final fight, as Lin uses his almighty technique to control the divine weapons. Tina informs him that the nail can destroy the formation, and Lin uses his spiritual eyes, allowing him to see the formation's weakness. So he uses the nail to shatter it, breaking the formation, and he grabs onto the divine sword, pointing it to the sky. A massive orb of lightning falls from the sky, but he uses a technique called the Sword of Heaven, unleashing a powerful beam of energy which completely overpowers it, stopping the calamity. The sky clears, and the sun starts shining, but Tina flies away as she continues to disappear, giving Lin the final mission, which is to find her in the kingdom of spirits. She explains that they will meet again when he completes the mission, and she bids him farewell as she completely disappears. After the battle, we learn that all of the cultivators survived, and Lin still has the divine weapons, but he can't draw out their powers. The Academy celebrates his return, and he still has the system, but Tina is no longer with him. Kuro is placed in custody, But Lin knows that there are more powerful enemies in the world, so he needs to get stronger to defeat them. He learns the lightning technique, but he doesn't know how to use it, and although he's suffered a massive memory loss, he still remembers Tina. We meet a woman named Tinu, as she's about to work on a new painting. She sees a reflection of her other self on the waterfall, and she talks to it, as it helps her work on the painting. We learn that she's been banished to the Stone Island for 999 years, and she's been drawing that same painting every year. Her other self came into being after she drew her 500th painting, and it wonders when they will learn enlightened apathy. At that moment, a pillar of light appears from the scroll, covering the island with a barrier, and Tinu's other self recognizes it as the formation of enlightened apathy, realizing that she cultivates through painting. She claims that she will master the skill after she finishes the painting, and as she makes the final stroke, lightning strikes the scroll as a magical orb appears. Its energy stabilizes, and she stores it in her paintbrush, but her other self wonders what she's doing, knowing she waited 1,000 years for that moment. But Tinu wants to wait another year, saying she will shock the spiritual world to appease her mother's spirit. 1 year later, the periodic war between the Heavenly Alliance and the Beast Clan breaks out, to determine who will control the Stone Island for the next 1,000 years. The divine Bat Shen meets the Star Emperor Zekan, who is the leader of the Heavenly Alliance. Shen reveals that he's now a true god like Zekan, saying he will avenge his master, who was killed by Zekan 1,000 years ago, but Zekan can't even remember him, causing him to become angry. So he fires an energy ball, but Zekan easily destroys it, saying Shen can never defeat him, and he starts questioning the Beast Clan's capabilities. But Shen laughs, saying Zekan isn't invincible, as he mentions that Kuro retrieved the divine sword, and he wonders how Kuro was able to invade the mortal world, saying there must be a traitor in the Heavenly Alliance. Shen adds that the other clans have joined forces with the Beast Clan, so he believes they have the advantage. At that moment, Zekan receives an urgent report, causing him to be surprised. Shen knows that it's about the war, revealing that the Beast Clan has invaded multiple areas in the mortal world, asking Zekan if he admits defeat. But Zekan unleashes his energy, and they're about to clash, when a scroll suddenly gets in the way, pushing them back. It opens up, revealing Tinu's painting, and it descends to the ground, as Tinu makes her entrance. Zekan recognizes her, telling her she can't interfere in the war, and Shen invites her to join his clan, but Tinu ignores them as she touches the scroll with her brush, causing dark clouds to appear above them. She reveals that she's willing to side with Zekan as a true god, but she wants the Heavenly Alliance to award the highest honors to her already deceased mother. Zekan's men are against it, saying her mother is a sinner, but he accepts her offer, wanting to have another true god in his army. Tinu tries to use the enlightened apathy, causing a powerful energy to surround her, and Zekan thinks she's worthy to join his army. But something goes wrong, so her other self tells her to stop, saying it's the will of heaven, but she continues her painting, and the skill completely fails, causing her to collapse. Zekan's men start mocking her, and he orders everyone to leave, warning Shen not to stand in their way, and Shen takes his leave, telling Zekan they will fight again after 3 days. After some time, Tinu regains consciousness, and she realizes that her other self has materialized. She wonders what they should do next, thinking heaven doesn't want her to succeed, but her other self mentions that she saw something during the incident, saying they still have a chance. Shen reports to his master, who knows that Zekan won't be paying attention to Stone Island in the next few days. So he orders Shen to use the scepter to seal the island, and kill the Academy disciples who enter it. Back in the Academy, we see Lin on a bed with Dabai, as his alarm goes off. He tells the system to turn it off, but it can't understand him, and he remembers that Tina is no longer with him, so he becomes sad. He gets up from his bed, and he hears an announcement which mentions that Class 1 is going to fly to Stone Island. He brings out his treasures, saying he risked his life to get the divine items, but as he tries to grab onto them, they act hostile, and he ends up injuring his finger. He wants to pick a gift for his friends, to show his appreciation for everything they've done, and Dabai sees a dress, asking Lin if he wants to become a girl, but he explains that it was given by the Academy as a reward. Lin leaves his room, trying to give the dress to Quen, but she reveals that she was the one who gave it to him, saying he should wear it. She grabs onto his hand, activating the divine ring, as she tells him to summon her again if anything happens. She advises him to give it to Lana if he doesn't want to wear it, and he decides to follow her advice, but Lana won't accept it, knowing Quinn gave it to him. He tries to convince her to accept it, telling her to keep it, but Lana pushes him away. Lin can't think of anyone else, so he gives it to Cheng, who gives him an awkward stare, so he becomes embarrassed, and he starts running away, returning to his dorm. Lin looks at the mirror, thinking he'll look strange if he wears it, but Dabai is surprised to see him, telling Lin that his secret is safe with him. The flower wakes up, showing them a projection of Lin with the dress, and he becomes embarrassed, saying he doesn't want to wear it. He thinks about how to give it to Lana when Sue suddenly appears, advising him to be sincere when he gives it to someone. So he follows her advice, giving it to Lana, as he tells her that she's the first friend he made, and he wants to show his appreciation by giving it to her. She wonders if the robe is cursed, when the flower shows her the projection of Lin holding the robe, saying it's a playback. Lin tells her he never wore it, and she takes it, thinking it would be rude to refuse. He asks her to wear it, so she puts it on, but a dark energy suddenly surrounds her. So he becomes worried, but she says she's about to make a breakthrough, as the dark energy causes her to disappear, and she reappears with wings. She reaches the spiritual nurturing level, and she reveals that the robe is actually an opportunity for a breakthrough, so she thanks Lin for giving it to her. Lin wants to borrow the outfit, but Lana refuses, questioning his manliness. At that moment, they receive an announcement that they're about to go to Stone Island, so the disciples should now gather at the plaza. Lin realizes he didn't bring anything with him, but Lana flies away with him, and the divine nail follows them around. The disciples are now gathered at the plaza, and they're about to leave, so Cheng implores Ying to wait for his friends. But she chooses to leave without them, and the ship takes off, as she explains that they will observe the battle at Stone Island between two gods. They suddenly hear Class 100 cheering for Lin, as Lana flies him to the ship. Cheng thinks they won't make it in time, so he asks Ying to wait for them, but she recalls how Mingyan warned her that the trip is going to be dangerous, and the danger seems to be connected to Lin. So she activates the ship, telling everyone that they're about to fly into space. Lana flies to the ship, but it's ascending too fast, and it looks like they won't be able to reach it. But Wang suddenly appears, revealing how Lin's accomplishments inspired him to make a breakthrough, so he wants to repay Lin by launching him to the ship. He covers them in a lightning bubble, and he throws them to the ship, allowing them to catch up to it. As they're about to join their classmates, Ying recalls her conversation with Mingyun, who told her that no one can stop the heavenly calamity. But he mentioned that only man can defeat heaven, advising her to find a way to unite the students and make them believe they can win. So she tries to play the role of the villain, saying the ship will speed up after 10 seconds to prevent Lin from reaching them. She starts counting down, as Cheng thinks about using a skill to boost Lin's speed, telling the other students to join him. So they lend him their powers, and he creates a tunnel for his friends, but he needs more power to reach them. Sue uses her weapon to extend the tunnel, but just as Lana is about to reach it, she starts falling, so Lin grabs onto her. We learn that they only have 2 seconds left, but Cheng tells them not to give up, and at that moment, Lin remembers his lightning technique, which can control all forms of lightning. So he uses it, allowing them to go further, as the nail creates a portal in front of him, and it sends him into the tunnel. He manages to reach the ship just in time, and it speeds up, sending everyone into space, as they congratulate Lin for making it. Meanwhile, Shen receives a report that his army is ready to attack Stone Island, and he pays tribute to the heavenly god, activating the scepter. Ying shows everyone a projection of the Stone Island, which Shen considers as the Beast Clan's holy land. Ying explains that 10,000 years ago, humanity's most powerful civilization, the Purple Star, was destroyed, leaving behind an important artifact in the island, and everyone's trying to look for it, so the demons and humans clashed endlessly until the Millennium War broke out. Ying reveals that the Heavenly Alliance started the war to search for the artifact, but they realize that they can't find it. So it's currently using the war to weaken the Beast Clan, wanting to show them who's boss, while the Beast Clan uses the war to suppress internal conflicts. We learn that out of the 10 Millennium Wars, the humans lost 3 times, and they only lost because they didn't participate. Shen wants to find the Purple Star artifact to end the Millennium War, asking Heaven to help him out, and his master tells him that the scepter can seal the entire island, saying he will become the master of that space. so he grabs onto the scepter and he starts tapping into its power as the ship reaches the stone island. Shen knows that the disciples have arrived, so he orders the beasts to take them out. Meanwhile, Tinny moves the brush, causing water to surround her, and the water forms a screen as she dismantles her brush, revealing the magical orb. Tinny reveals that the brush was given to her as a gift, and she tells her other self to concentrate on gathering her energies. The orb shines brightly as she recalls what she saw during the incident, revealing that she had a vision about a powerful scepter suppressing the stone island, which has fallen into ruin. Tinny realizes that their energy has assimilated with the earth, so her other self was able to see the island's future. She suddenly feels uneasy, and Shen appears on the screen, as Tinny notes that Shen and Zekan are supposed to be preparing for their battle, so she wonders what he's doing in Stone Island. She starts to wonder if the humans are going to lose, and her other self suggests reporting this to the Heavenly Alliance, but she knows they won't believe the story. She suddenly experiences discomfort, and they see an image of a woman as the screen disappears. Tinny recognizes her as the guardian of the Purple Star ruins, revealing that her mother received the brush from the guardian, as she mentions that her mother used to live among the Purple Star. She explains that the people of the Purple Star cultivated using science, and they were stronger than the Heavenly Alliance, but the scientific advancements defied heaven, so it incurred heavenly punishment, leading to its destruction. Her mother survived because she wasn't there when this happened, but she was still cursed by heaven, so her life slowly withered away, and they were treated as aliens by the Heavenly Alliance. Her mother took her to the Stone Island to find the Purple Star ruins, and she encountered the Guardian who gave her the brush, saying it has the power of the Purple Star. The brush was passed on to Tinyu, and she reveals that it's the artifact everyone is looking for. She thinks that the Purple Star ruins has great power, so she wants to find it, and they take another glimpse into the future, as she thinks about using the power of the Purple Star to surpass the Heavenly Alliance. Shen uses the power of the scepter, causing a dark wave to move across the island, and giving him the ability to see everything in the area. He wants to find the Purple Star ruins, and his master claims that he can find it, turning Shen into the master of Stone Island. Back at the ship, Ying tells the disciples that they will have an outdoor survival activity, and everyone becomes confused, because they thought they were just going to observe the war. Ying splits them into 4 teams, and the first team is led by Cheng, who reveals that he has brought mortal weapons, but Wei questions its quality, as everyone wonders if it will even work. Ying announces that the high-level disciples will lead the other teams, but she tells Lin that he can't join any of the teams, saying he needs to act alone, because he's too strong. The disciples choose their teams, as Lana reminds Lin that they still have the tracker. Ying tells Lin to get off, but he wonders how he should do it, because the ship is still flying in the air, but she throws him off the ship, causing him to crash to the ground. He checks his upgrade quest, which mentions that he must jump off the peak of a high mountain to reach the next level, and he sees a mountain he can use. But the ground starts shaking, as the area is covered in a red barrier. Tinyu is connecting to Heaven with her other self, but Heaven rejects her, and she wonders why her other self has been accepted. She reveals that she found the ruins, and she tries to find a way to open it, when the red barrier suddenly appears, so Tinyu realizes that the future they foresaw is about to happen. The barrier reaches the disciples, as they realize that the Stone Island has been sealed off, wondering who's responsible for it. Shen takes to the sky, threatening to attack the disciples, so Ying tries to protect the ship with a barrier, as he uses a powerful sonic attack, which overwhelms their senses, and she flies the ship to the nearby village. Lin struggles against the sonic attack, so he uses his spiritual eyes, allowing him to see Shen, who's revealed to be at the divine level, and he analyzes the scepter, thinking the finger of heaven can break it. Shen stops attacking them, as he declares that he's the ruler of the realm, ordering the creatures on the island to serve him. He unleashes a ball of energy, which continues to expand, destroying everything in its path. It's about to reach Lin, but the divine nail appears, saving him from certain death. He uses his spiritual eyes, and he sees the enlightened apathy formation at the peak of a mountain, knowing it's a technique of the Heavenly Alliance, and he decides to check it out. Ying tries to fly the ship to the village, but her barrier breaks, and the disciples are about to fall. But she manages to save them, and they all land on top of a building. Ying informs the team leaders that there's a defensive formation at the village, so they must work together to activate it and resist the impact. The disciples follow her instructions, and the defensive formation is activated, protecting them from Shen's attack as he discovers the location of the Purple Star ruins. His master tells him to kill all human cultivators, so he summons ancient beasts, and one of them attacks Lin, but he manages to dodge it. But he realizes that he dropped the tracker, so he tries to retrieve it, but he ends up getting hit, and the beasts gang up on him. Countless beasts make their way to the disciples, attacking their barrier, and it looks like they're about to get overwhelmed. Ying is afraid that her students could lose their lives, so she uses an attack to push the beasts off the barrier, but it causes her to become exhausted. Chang tells the other students that they must not let her fight alone, and he releases the weapons from the mortal world, saying they can fight without using spiritual power. He grabs onto a rifle, saying they must fight until the end, and everyone decides to join him. Meanwhile, the younger Tinyu reveals that the Stone Island is sealed, so she can no longer connect with heaven, but she claims that she already knows what to do. She tells Tinyu that they have the key to the ruins, but Shen appears before them, telling them to give it to him. Lin uses the almighty technique to tame the beasts, causing them to back off as he retrieves the tracker, and he continues to make his way to the mountain, wondering what he's going to find there. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.